We all know someone. The person who tried everything before, who finally got the prescription, who started the pen with real hope that this time would be different. The person who texted everyone in the first month, "I think it's working," and then went quiet. You probably know more than one. They're not lying when they say they feel less hungry. They're not eating like they used to. By every rule that's supposed to govern weight loss, they should be losing weight. And maybe, that person is you. So here's the question that almost nobody is willing to answer out loud. Why isn't it working? The medication is the most powerful weight loss tool ever invented. The clinical trials are extraordinary. So why, in real life, is the result so often nothing? The answer is uncomfortable. And once you understand it, the entire picture of these medications and modern weight loss changes completely. In a moment, I'll show you why a landmark trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine demonstrated that GLP-1 medications work powerfully on one specific kind of hunger and have almost no effect on the three other kinds that actually drive modern overeating. Why up to 40% of the weight people lose on these pens isn't fat but muscle, quietly setting them up for a worse body composition than when they started. And why the people who do succeed on these medications understand something almost nobody talks about. They use the pen as a window, not as the solution. By the end of this video, you'll understand more about why these medications work for some people and not others than 90% of the doctors prescribing them right now. Quick question before we dive in. If you're on a GLP-1 medication, has it worked for you the way you expected? Or are you frustrated and not sure why? Tell me in the comments. And if you're considering starting one, tell me that too. If you're one of these people, you're not broken. You're not the exception. You're running into a limitation of the medication that almost nobody is honest about, because the medication is being marketed as a solution to a problem it only partially solves. The first force is the most important one, the one that explains almost every case of the pen didn't work. There are 4 different kinds of hunger. The pen only quiets one of them. When researchers study eating behavior, they find that humans don't eat for a single reason. We eat for at least 4 very different reasons, driven by 4 very different brain systems. The pen activates satiety hormones, slows stomach emptying, and suppresses the biological hunger signal. If your overeating is driven mostly by biological hunger, your stomach is empty, your body needs energy, the pen will work for you beautifully. But here's the problem. For most modern adults with weight challenges, biological hunger is the smallest driver of eating. Hunger number 2 is emotional hunger. Anxiety, sadness, boredom, loneliness. When emotions get uncomfortable, the brain reaches for food as a regulator because food triggers dopamine and dopamine quiets the alarm. This is the eating that happens when you're stressed at work, scrolling your phone alone at night. The pen does nothing for this. Your stomach is silent, but your nervous system is still asking for the comfort of food. Hunger number 3 is hedonic hunger, the craving for pleasure. Your brain saw the donut, remembered how good it tasted. The dopamine system fires, demanding that specific reward regardless of whether your stomach is full. People on the pen consistently report this. They're not hungry, they still want the pizza. Hunger number 4 is conditioned hunger, the cookie with afternoon coffee, the popcorn at the movies, the dessert after dinner, every single day, automatically. These aren't responses to hunger, they're programs your brain has rehearsed thousands of times. The pen silences your stomach, but it doesn't touch these automatic behaviors. So now look at the math. If your overeating is 40% emotional, 30% hedonic, 20% conditioned, and only 10% biological, and the pen only addresses the 10%, you can do everything right and barely move the scale. Your body isn't broken. The medication is working. It's working on a problem that wasn't actually yours. The people who succeed on the pen are people whose overeating was mostly biological. The people who don't succeed are people whose overeating was mostly emotional, hedonic, or conditioned. And almost no one is told this when they start. Quick pause here. If this is the first time you've heard the pen explained this way, do 2 things real quick. Hit the like button. It's the only signal YouTube uses to show this video to other people who need to hear it. And subscribe to the channel, because this is part of an ongoing series breaking down the psychology and biology behind eating and weight that almost no one else explains clearly. You don't want to miss the next ones. Now, let's keep going. The second force is what makes failure on these medications even worse. Even when the pen works to reduce weight, what's being lost isn't always what you think. Multiple recent studies, including secondary analyses of the STEP trials published in the New England Journal of Medicine, have found that a significant portion of weight lost on GLP-1 medications isn't fat, it's muscle. In some analyses, up to 40% of the total weight loss comes from lean mass. This happens because rapid weight loss, combined with reduced food intake, combined with insufficient protein and no resistance training, signals to the body that energy is scarce, so it breaks down muscle for fuel. The person finishes their year on the pen having lost 30 pounds. 12 of those pounds are muscle. They look smaller, the scale is happy, but underneath, they have a body with a significantly lower resting metabolic rate. And when the pen eventually ends, which for most people it does, they go back to their old eating habits with less muscle than they started with. The regain doesn't just match what they lost, it often exceeds it. This is the silent cost almost no one is told about. The pen reduced the weight, but it may have made your future body composition worse, not better. The third force separates the small group of people who actually succeed long-term from everyone else. The people who win on these medications understand something deep. The pen is not the solution. The pen is a window. For 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, however long they're on it, biological hunger is quiet. The system that screams for food has been put on pause. This creates a unique opportunity that most people completely waste. During this window, the successful ones do 3 things. They build the eating patterns they will use forever. They start resistance training to protect their muscle. They do the harder work, therapy, mindfulness, environmental design, on the emotional and behavioral hungers that the pen never touched. They use the window, because when the pen ends, biological hunger comes back, and the only thing standing between the new body and the old one is what they built during those months. The people who fail on the medication don't use the window. They take the pen, lose some weight, and then return to the same emotional eating, the same conditioned snacking. Only now, with less muscle, the window closes, and everything they didn't build is now too late to build, because the biology is screaming again. So here's what to actually do if you're on a pen or considering one. First, be honest about your eating. Track for 1 week. How much of your eating happens when you're physically hungry, and how much happens because of emotion, habit, or craving? If most of your eating is emotional or habitual, the pen alone won't solve it. You need parallel work: therapy, behavioral change, environmental design. Second, protect your muscle at all costs. Hit at least 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight every single day, and do resistance training 2 to 3 times a week. This isn't optional. Third, use the window. While the pen is quieting biological hunger, build the eating identity you want to keep forever. Don't wait until you're off the medication to start. By then, it's too late. The pen doesn't make you thin. The work you do while the pen is quieting your hunger, that's what makes you thin, and keeps you that way. Tell me in the comments, which of the 4 hungers do you recognize most in your own eating? Biological, emotional, hedonic, or conditioned? Be honest. This is the answer to whether the pen is even the right tool for you. See you in the next one.